that goes on in the ring during a match might seem like a lot of silliness. That is, if you're a novice to the sport of wrestling. But really what it is a lot of mind games. There's a lot of psychology that goes on here. You take a guy like George the Animal Steel. He likes to chew up these turnbuckles and spit them out. Now, when opponents see this, along with his green tongue, they usually head for the hills. Even his good friend Hulk Hogan says he doesn't want to have anything to do with this guy when he's in that kind of a mood. And what about that famous Hulkster shake? The psychological effect of knowing Hulk is about to explode has left some opponents so shaken they can hardly defend themselves. And there are some wrestlers who, in the psychology department, get a little help from a friend.
Whitey Gleason here with Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake, I can't help but notice your reptilian friend here. Who would this be?
He's an intimidating force around the WWF. You know, it's funny how people just seem to back up. Isn't it an amazing thing? Just naturally, just back up.
Yeah. Is this Damien then?
This is Damien, yeah.
And what are the vital stats on Damien?
Well, about 14 feet and growing, about 110 pounds, and two nice fangs about an inch and a half.
Oh, boy, I'll take your word for that.
Oh, they're nice.
What is he, probably the Purina Python chow?
No, let's go with rabbits. And
oh, boy, I was afraid of that.
Chickens. Chickens are much more exciting, I might add.
I've heard that,
noisy,
but yeah.
Flapping. But that's not really what we're about.
Jake, I know that in the wild, these creatures like to pounce down on their victims and literally squeeze the life out of them. Is that a philosophy that you take into the ring with you?
I don't believe so. I don't have enough power just to go in there with some of these guys today. I mean, some of the athletes, you're looking at 400, 450. And I can't go up there and meet that face to face and see who get the strongest and push and pull. That's not my thing at all. I mean, if I was going to rob a bank, I would walk in the back door. I would not go in the front door with a man sitting there with a gun, you know. I'm not a fool. If a man steps up to me, I'm not going to say, you go ahead, you hit me, and maybe I'll get to hit you after that. You know, that's not the way I do business.
Do you think having Damien in the sack there at ringside gives you any kind of psychological edge?
That's exactly why he's there. I mean, intimidation is probably one of the strongest tools in the world today. I mean, we do it with missiles, we do it with people. I do it with a snake. Because fear is much more important to me than respect, especially when you're talking about athletes meeting head to head. Fear is much more important than respect, because if you got a man that's thinking just a little bit about what's in the bag, then he's not thinking enough about me. That's where you get in trouble.
Is there a story here as to how Damien came to be your pet?
Not much of one, other than we just have a mutual affection for abusing things, I think might be the whole key to that. I mean, my whole thing with Damien is a marketing ploy, they say. It's much more than that. It's a relationship. I mean, what better friend can you have? He doesn't bark. You only feed him once a month. And not many people come around you when you got this on your arms. I mean, think about it.
What kind of reactions do you get from the fans as you're heading up to the ringside there with this fella?
The faces. That's why I think I like most about Damien. I mean, even a 400-pound man that's been talking trash to me for 2 weeks, when this thing comes out, you see that little gleam in their eye, and you hear the words mother a lot, or dear Jesus, and all of a sudden this man's not as tough and not as bad as he used to be. Kids, on the other hand, it's a fascination type thing, I think. They are fascinated by this thing, and rightly so. The snake is one of the most beautiful creatures on this earth today. And it's been around since the beginning of time. You can ask Eve about that.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't do bad for himself for all those years, I don't think.
Is that him hissing there?
Yeah, he's a bit hissed off.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well.
That's not good, is it?
You ever had any mishaps with the snake?
What's a mishap? Biting somebody?
Biting somebody, perhaps.
That's great. That's great. I mean, you think about it.
I'm going to stand over here a little bit, but yeah.
He's bitten me probably, 8, 10 times. And I keep trying to get over that initial shock. But you know something, as hard as I try, every time he bites me, it's a totally new experience through fear. And I think that's something everybody out there ought to think about. I mean, when you're dealing in a live and die situation, you got to make a lot of choices. And a very wise man once told me, he says, don't gamble if you can't afford to lose.
Jake the Snake Roberts and Damien, Jake, it's been different. Thank you.
More matches coming up, so don't go away.